welcome to Boatrek Live. My name is PG. I'm joined again by Marcelo. It's an exciting day. It's Star Trek Day, and we're going to talk about Beetlejuice.
Something far from Star Trek, ironically.
Yeah. Well, it's showtime now, so let's get into it. And for anybody who is watching, this will include spoilers. I saw this movie Wednesday in one of the early fan screenings. It was packed. Like I was surrounded by just everybody. So I was thinking, yeah, this movie's gonna do good, and it did do well. I think it's projected for like 110 domestic box office opening. It made like 40 something million on its first day. $4 million in previews, like the Wednesday and Thursday, I guess. The shows, one of the shows that I went to, but uh, wasn't a lot of laughter. There was a lot of laughter for Justin Theroux's character Rory at the beginning, and then I think everybody turned against him real quick. Uh, what was your experience when you went to see it? Was it packed, or was it like?
When I went to go see it, it was a packed house. And to address your thing about Justin Theroux's character, Rory, I did not like that motherfucker from the moment go. I
No, I don't think anybody
absolutely,
liked him. Really?
I absolutely detested that guy from the jump. I was like, "Are you kidding me? No way, no way." First of all, it was very unlike Lydia Dietz to fall for a guy who was so obviously a con man and who was only with her because of her paranormal TV show.
Yeah.
So I was like, "What are you doing?" Now I do understand that that might have been reactionary because a couple years prior, I guess she lost the love of her life in the fucking Amazon. So maybe her relationship with Rory was reactionary at the end of the day, but I was like, this guy is not it for you, not at all.
Yeah. So yeah, when we meet him, immediately we know he's a jerk, and everybody can see it. But Lydia, she's in an emotionally vulnerable spot, I guess, because of the death of her husband, and they had met in a support group uh, for that sort of thing. But we find out at the end of the film, of course, full spoilers, uh, when Beetlejuice injects him with that truth serum, he's like, "I'm only with you for the money. I don't believe in all. I didn't believe in all this ghost shit before. Well, obviously, he does now." And he says, what's the thing that he says? That's really like cuts deep. Um, I forget.
My
Well,
memory
you know,
is
I'm talking
still.
about that thing at the end where he says all
Yeah,
those things
yeah,
that
he
were,
does. Yeah, yeah, in
uh,
the church. Yeah,
yeah. He only wanted to marry her to make himself richer, basically.
right,
That's
right, right.
he just spills the beans. I don't know. There's something else he says that was revealing, but from the get go, we open up basically on Lydia Dietz and her talk show. She's a celebrity medium, ghost chaser slash ghost whisperer, and she's estranged from her daughter Astrid, who's in college, played by Jenna Ortega. And by the way, I love Winona Ryder as Lydia Dietz. Just love seeing her, but it's weighed down by this relationship she has with this guy. So she's seeing right off the get go, right from the beginning. We do see Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice in flashes. But we find out there's an actual psychic connection that's happening here because I guess there's a premonition that she'll come back to the house. By the way, there's a trick in the movie at the beginning. The opening credits, dun 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 dun, and going over the model goes into the window of the house. And by the way, it doesn't appear to be a model. It actually looks like it's over the real city because you do see real stuff going on down on the streets. So I don't know if it's a combination of model and real town. like to trick us. I gotta watch it again.
I would.
But by the time they get to that window, they zoom in on the window. I thought they were filming the show in the house. Am I wrong, or is it like they tricked us and said, "No, this is just a studio," and
No,
this is in a completely different state. Like she's in
no,
New
I
York.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I think it was a great transition when Tim took the camera through the town that Lydia grew up in, reached her house and went through the window. That was a great transition, but I think that Lydia was in a completely different location and the show was being filmed in New York.
yeah. I had to, it took me a second to catch on. I'm like, oh, they're doing the show in the house. You know what I mean? I was like, oh no, wait, this can't be the house. They're in a studio. Oh, okay. I find out like they're in New York. She finds out her father has died. Uh, so the way they explain his death is through stop motion animation, and they show his basically head and shoulders getting bitten off by a shark. We do see his character later. The actor is in the pictures and stuff. The actor is not in the movie, but the character is in the movie throughout. And they find a clever way to kind of like sweep him under the rug, kind of really say a fuck you to him, and like but
No, I think personally, I think the way they handled the Charles character was a genius move. Like PJ said, they basically say that he had a plane accident because he, while he was tracking a particular species of geese somewhere, and
yeah.
it's so great because it could work as a fuck you, or it could just be a really really interesting story plot. But because of reality, I think it was designed as a fuck you. But the other thing that I'm wondering, his the actor's likeness was actually used on his gravestone, and you see photos of him throughout the movie sporadically. So I wonder if the studio came to him and said, "Hey, we don't want you in this movie, but we need permission to use your likeness." So I'm
Hey,
wondering,
hey, you're a piece of shit, but
yeah, yeah. So I'm wondering if the studio came to him and that he gave them permission to use the little actual images of him that they needed to use. What do you think about that?
yeah, they definitely couldn't have the actor come. Like he's blacklisted.
Yeah,
But
he's not.
I'm amazed his likeness got into the movie, but it was appropriate to not have, and it is the catalyst for the plot of the film. So why not? Like maybe that was the whole thing about how the story got started. It's like, well, we can't have Jeffrey Jones in the film, so let's
Right.
start with his death. So they go back to this little town. What's the town called again?
Uh, I,
Winter River. Yeah,
Winter River. I was gonna say Sleep No More, but that's a Edgar Allan Poe shit.
yeah. Uh, so they return to the home and they have the funeral. The actual home is draped in like a black cloth, which
Yeah.
is
That was
yeah, that's
that
so
that was so cool. I mean,
that was so Delia
um,
Dietz. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, Beetlejuice. It doesn't take long for Beetlejuice to show up. Uh,
No,
but getting back to the Jenna Ortega, so Lydia has to go to college and say, we gotta. Here. Actually, no. There was a really funny part, dude. I that got a good reaction, and God bless Catherine O'Hara because I don't think this movie worked in a lot of ways, but the strength of some of the cast, on top of some of the direction and visual style, and just set pieces alone, sustains it for me to say like I enjoyed it. But it doesn't hold a candle to the original, which in itself is a very odd movie. But I think the first one has so much more rewatchability than this one. But we'll get into that in a second. I just want to get to this. Uh, we find out that uh, Astrid, Lydia's daughter, thinks Lydia's full of shit, that she doesn't see ghosts. Otherwise, she would have seen uh, the father, the dead
her
father,
dad. Yeah,
right?
her dad. Yeah,
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 so it's
yeah.
like, so you can see all these randos. And by the way, there must have been a lot of deleted scenes because at the beginning of the movie, when she goes into the bathroom, by the way, she's taking pills for anxiety, I suppose. And her boyfriend, Rory, is enabling her, which Beetlejuice points out later. But anyway, You see this girl with a thing in her head, and you think this is like a thing, like there's gonna be some kind of ghost. She's gonna have to help. That's all swept away. Like it's just like we don't see Lydia really see any other. That falls on Jenna
Deaf
Ortega's.
ears. Right.
No, it falls on Jenna Ortega's character to pick that up. And there's so much going on in the movie; they can really only do so much with certain things. Fuck, dude, so much going on in the movie. This is why I'm taking so long to get to this point, and then I'll get your take. So they go to the funeral, and this is where my heart kind of sank, and I thought the movie might be crap or might have a really bad, potentially bad script. Is when Rory goes up to Astrid at the funeral. It's like this really super one of the most cringe-inducing scenes I've seen in a long time in a movie. Where he's like, he's trying to suck up to her, and if you ever want to talk about your feelings and blah blah blah, and she's just like not buying it for a second. And I'm thinking, oh, I fucking hate this guy. I was kind of like laughing at his little jokes before. Now I know he's bad. Now I know I hate him. What did you think of that scene?
I hated that scene so much because I don't like his character at all. I think he's absolutely fucking useless in this movie. The writers and Tim Burton, for that matter, could have gotten the same performance out of Jen Ortega's character Astrid without that motherfucker.
And what's
There,
worse, what happens after that, dude? Right at the
yeah,
funeral, why he does the most inappropriate thing that makes you like throw your hands up in the air and say,
I,
"Where are
yeah,
we going with this? Come on
yeah,
now."
yeah. Look. I personally think that he was a design by Miles Miller and Alfred Goff. They wrote the script for this film. They also are the showrunners of Wednesday. I think his whole character was a device to actually make us hate him. So either Justin Thoreau got the wrong message, or he played his part so perfectly that it just worked. I don't know which one it is, but I tend to believe that Justin Thoreau is a really, really good actor because I like him in The Leftovers. That's an HBO show, guys. But
Highly underrated and undersought kind of
yeah,
show that
yeah,
just
yeah,
is just so weird. It's kind of
yeah,
like
depressing too.
the 10 years ago's answer to Twin Peaks when Twin Peaks wasn't around.
Yep.
It's just awkward. Not as supernatural as that, but just awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it is supernatural in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
he is a very good actor. He's also very versatile. He's a serious actor. He can be a good comedic actor. He's been in the Zoolander movies, I believe, and The Leftovers, and he's great. He's a chameleon in some ways where he can just really do anything, and he's doing the job here. He's being an insufferable prick. And
Mm-hmm.
part of what infuriates you as an audience member is that you can't believe Delia is this weak minded, and you can see that. But that's the whole point, I suppose, because Astrid even says it. She's a, she's uh, she's a delusional fantasist. Like she's living in her own head. Like she doesn't even realize what's going on around her. And at her most vulnerable point, at her dad's funeral, this fucking asshole, being the opportunist prick that he is. Everybody, I'm so mad at this guy. But Justin Theroux, great actor. Not mad at the actor. Mad at the character for being in this movie at all. Uh, but he proposes to her. She's like, I don't know. Yes, he says, marry me on Halloween, your favorite holiday. And she's like, that's 2 days. And you can see Catherine, Delia, and Astrid just rolling their eyes and being like, what the hell? Anyway, she says yes because he emotionally blackmails her. After she's not sure and pretty much says no, he's like, well, this is an extra debt. He piles on the guilt. He guilts her on the day of her fraud. So all of this despicable behavior is so infuriating to watch to a character you love, or if you love the character of Dealey in the movie or the cartoon or both. you'd be like, you want more for this girl than this,
Yeah.
but there has to be a plot point. And I think the writers were trying to make a new Otho, like this kind of non-masculine,
No, but
effeminate
the other thing,
character.
no,
Except
but the other
Otho was
thing,
probably Otho wasn't gay. He had a girlfriend in the first movie, uh, and that wasn't really a thing or addressed or anything.
yeah,
The actor was
but
gay, but
yeah,
the whole point of Otho that he was an effeminate, fashion savvy kind of maybe too fashion savvy, very 80s fashion savvy kind of dude. And one of the best parts about that movie is that he becomes a shitty character, but then he actually feels guilt for what he's doing to the Maitlands at the end with the spell and shit. But then the Beetlejuice does that thing where he takes away his suit and he's wearing like this god awful white suit. And like that's literally the most horrific thing you could do to Otho. It's brilliant, and that actor was good. I think they're trying to have like a funny, effeminate man in this to be like, but it doesn't work. He's so unlikable. We're gonna spend too
here's
much time on this guy, but yeah,
no, here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. Otho was likable. He may have been an asshole to some people, but he was super likable. But this motherfucking prick that Justin Thoreau plays is not likable at all. He is a definition of a son of a bitch. Because who in their right mind proposes to their wife at their wife's father's funeral? I mean, you have to be out of your fucking mind to do that.
yeah. And I also think they make Astrid. They're just trying to make her Lydia Dietz in 2024.
No.
Except the only difference is Lydia was more into the spiritual, and Astrid, because she thinks her mother's a fraud, is not. But she's still like the deadpan kind of thing. I'll be totally honest. I did not like the character of Astrid in this movie. I was like, I don't care. I just don't. And then, okay, here's what happens. She's pissed off because the proposal happens. She rides on her bike. She meets this guy in the treehouse. Turns out to be the guy who murdered his family 20 years ago and fell off the tree, broke his neck. She doesn't know this because she doesn't realize she can see ghosts yet. I was thinking, this is intriguing. Who's this guy? You know what I thought? I thought he was going to kill her. I thought he was going to turn out to be a killer, like a real life, like alive guy, and that was the reason she was in the afterlife. And that's because from the trailers I gathered that, well, Astrid is in the afterlife, so obviously she dies somehow. That's what I just assumed, but it's a whole different thing where he tricks her into going in with her, sign a contract, and say, okay, you switched your life for mine, and that's how she gets trapped in her. And that's really the catalyst for the rest of the movie. And that's the point in the movie where I was like, yes, now we're talking. This is fun. Because you see Beetlejuice pop up in his office, middle management dude. I'm still trying to get Lydia. There's a psychic connection, all this stuff. He tells his backstory of his ex-wife or his wife. I don't know if they got an official divorce. But that scene where Danny DeVito discovers her in the box and she comes out and she sews herself together, she's played by Monica Bellucci. That went nowhere.
Mm-mm.
It got. She shows up here and there, chokes
Hey,
somebody,
guys.
sucks their souls out, and boom. At the end, she gets swallowed by a goddamn sandworm. It's like, wow, it was why is any of this even in her? Willem Dafoe's character also miscast. Lines weren't funny. I'm like, what is he doing in this movie? I'm only here for Beetlejuice and Lydia. And when I got that, I was fucking happy as hell. Sorry, go ahead, Marcelo. Take the
That's
floor.
okay. No, that's okay. I really think Astrid meeting the the boy on the treehouse. At first, I didn't like it because at first I thought that the writers were setting them up to be a romantic sort of thing. But then I was thinking midway through the movie, wait a minute, there has to be a reason that there has to be a device that pushes Astrid into the afterlife. And the reveal of this kid in the treehouse being dead and him using Lydia as a way to get his soul back. I liked that.
And remember, he gives her like the kicker of like why you should do this.
Right.
Hey,
So you see your dad
you
again.
can see your dad again.
Right. Right. Right.
By the way, dude, Star Trek's own Santiago Cabrera plays Richard, her father, and his reveal is so stupid that it's just like I can't feel anything for this because, for one thing, okay, to describe what this guy looks like in the movie, when you see him, he's a worker. He's a a
He,
workaday guy in there
yeah,
in
he's
the train
working.
station, the
Yeah.
Soul train
Yeah.
station, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know, or the
He's
DMV or wherever it is in
he's
the
working.
netherworld.
Yeah. He's working in immigration in the netherworld.
Oh, okay, there you go. And he's got like flesh taken off his face, and he looks pretty gruesome. But the funny thing is, he's got these like little robotic fish flopping around on him everywhere, and it looks so stupid. And for one thing, if you're supposed to look like how you died, how did he die after all that damage? Wouldn't he just be kind of like a little bit of a bloated, kind of like bluish kind of complexion or something? So when you think about the rules of this world, like they have a hell now. For one thing, Beetlejuice sends that kid who tries to switch lives with Lydia. Astrid. He comes and kind of saves the day, right? He stamps the thing and he says, sends him to hell. So you got a hell there now, and the extent of Beetlejuice's powers are unclear. So you can't really think about all that stuff. I'm basically just having a ride. Like, okay, this is like, kind of like an episode of the cartoon. Lydia has to go into the netherworld, team up with Beetlejuice to save the daughter. That's good enough for me. Then you get into like the Soul Train stuff, all this like really corny, almost 90s humor. It's like dated. It's like I get where you're going for, but and Willem Dafoe, he's this cop. No, he's this actor who's playing a cop now in the netherworld. He's not funny, and he keeps talking about keeping it real, even to the end of the movie. And it's like I don't get this. This is not fun. But I gotta tell you the highlight. First of all, the movie opens with Donna Summer's, I believe, rendition of MacArthur Park. MacArthur Park is a song written and performed originally, I believe, by Richard Harris. He's a famous actor. He played Dumbledore in the first two Harry Potter movies before he passed away. He was in Gladiator, Camelot, bunch of stuff. Lion in the something. Richard
Lion the Witch of the
Harris.
Wardrobe.
No. But Rich, you know who Richard Harris is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So he he was also a singer apparently, but he wrote a song called MacArthur Park, and it's such a it's known to be such a long, bloated, self-indulgent kind of nonsensical song. MacArthur Park is melting in the dark, all this green icing flowing down. Someone left the cake out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it. It took so long to bake it. That song, that's their Deo. Deo is played at the funeral, by the way. It was sung at the funeral. But at the end of the movie, the big set piece in the church, when Beetlejuice is finally going to get to marry uh, Lydia
Lydia.
as a part of the whole deal to go in and get her daughter out. Right before that happens, they do a rendition of that song, and everybody performs it and sings it, much like Deo. It's no Deo, by the way. It's no Deo. But I'm very familiar with the song. I know every word to the song. And I'm sure like a lot of people in the theater were like, I've never heard this shit before in my life. And I was curious as to why at the beginning of the movie had Donna Summer's kind of like rendition play a little bit like someone left the cake out, and she does a very different version of it. Much more listenable kind of disco version, right? There's been many different covers of that song, by the way. So I'm like, right at the beginning, I was thinking, oh, is this going to be their Deo? As in, like, is there going to be a point where Beetlejuice makes them perform Donna Summer's version of fucking MacArthur Park, where there would be dancing, there'd be disco lights and all this? And that belief was further cemented by mentioning Soul Train 3 times. I think they go back there a few times, like back to Soul Train. Remember this joke? I'm like, yeah, they're definitely gonna do the Donna Summer MacArthur Park thing. They're definitely gonna do it. And then he started doing the Richard Harris version. I was like, this is kind of better because Richard Harris is not a great singer. It's not a great song, but there's something charming about it. Something really sad and melodic and fucking weird about that song. What did you think of all that? What did you like the song? Are you familiar
No,
with that song?
I'd never heard that song before in my life, and I hated it the whole thing. I was like, just cut this out, please. I don't, because it was so odd.
It
Because
wasn't it.
yeah, because when Lydia and Beetlejuice are floating up in the air dancing, Tim Burton cut from Willem Dafoe and the Dead Police coming into the timing and the timing and the cutting of that specific scene was off. I like
I didn't like the
yeah
part where the cops are coming in at the end and they ruin it at the end. I agree.
yeah
Yes.
yeah. Also a quick word on Monica Bellucci's character. Monica Bellucci is a tremendously beautiful woman. She's a fine actress, but she was completely wasted in this movie.
Steve.
She did not need to be here. Like seriously, if you took out Justin Theroux's character, Monica Bellucci, and just have the storyline with the kid wanting to trade his wanting to trade Astrid for his soul, that could have worked. Like don't mistake me, guys. I like this movie a lot more than PJ seems.
No,
But
I like the movie.
right. But there's a lot of nips and tucks that I would have made to this movie to make it just a little bit tighter. Because like PJ said at the opening, there's a lot of shit here. There's a lot of crap.
Yeah, there's
A lot of stuff.
going on.
Yeah.
For example, okay, well, we never talked about this part, but when Astrid goes up the attic for the first time and sees the Beetlejuice flyer, for one thing, nobody had. Here's another thing with this movie: nobody has trouble pronouncing Beetlejuice when they see the Beetlejuice as in Beetlegeist. I mean, this actual like the way his actual name is spelled. They it's Beetlejuice, yes, as in juice, for like audiences in the title and stuff. But in the original movie, and when it's printed, it's spelled with a G and not a J. It's Beetle. It looks like Beetlegeist. Even Alec Baldwin in the first movie mispronounces it, and then it's like, oh, it's Beetlejuice. It's pronounced Beetlejuice. So yeah, they just know how to say it. And another thing, there's no time dilation between the netherworld and the real world, or the sandworm place, or the real world, like there was in the first movie. They throw that out the window. It's not like we're in the netherworld, then we come back, oh, it's 7 months later. Like they don't do that in this movie, so they throw that out the window. Fine, I didn't even notice it the first time I watched it, and I thought about it later. But that scene where Justin Theroux's like, I'll just call him Beetlejuice, and Beetlejuice does all of his tricks. I didn't expect him to impregnate Lydia, the baby to come out like a little Freddy Krueger baby from like a Nightmare on Elm Street 5, the Dream Child. And which, by the way, that might have been a tribute to A Nightmare on Elm Street. There's also a very direct reference or tribute to A Nightmare on Elm Street at the very end. We'll get to that in a second. But what'd you think of the fucking little Beetlejuice baby? I thought that was like, whoa, they're really going for it here. And I didn't think there was enough of that. But there was that in the end, and then I didn't agree with it. So anyway.
First of all, the Beetlejuice baby was fucking creepy as shit. It was so unsettling, but I loved every single second of it. I love the moment when Justin Theroux's character and Lydia fall through that portal, and they fall on the two couches in front of Beetlejuice's desk.
Yeah.
And Beetlejuice stands up and he says something, goes, "You want to see my insides?" And he goes, and they just spill out onto the floor.
Uh,
And Justin
he's like, who's
throws,
gonna spill their guts? Me first.
yeah, yeah, and Justin throws character cowers in the fucking corner. Like all that stuff was great. The one thing I will say about the ending, it was it was very off-putting. Like not because it was bad, but it was a moment that I'm like, guys, come on, just to end the movie, don't do this dream sequence bullshit. Don't do this. Like if you want to if you want to do a dream sequence like this, there's another way to do it, but
Now,
it reminded me of that TV show that went along for like eons, right? And then in the season finale, the way they end the show is the two characters wake up and one character says to the other one, "It was all a dream." That's what it felt like.
Was that the Bob Newhart show?
Yeah, it was a Bob Newhart show. Look,
Before my
I
time.
know. Yeah, I know this movie was not a dream, but that sequence intimated that it just felt so odd to me.
You know where that comes from. And I kind of loved it and didn't. I thought the very, very end, the very last shots were what kind of ruined it. But here's the thing. Uh, there was a movie called Carrie from the 70s, late
Yeah,
70s. And at the end of that movie, they do this thing where it's like a Vaseline soft focus camera, very nice scene where the girl's visiting Carrie's grave, and it's like doon doon doon. It's very calming and blah blah, and then dee, the hand comes up and grabs her out of the grave. It's the big shock fright, and the girl wakes up and she's freaking out. She's having a nightmare, and that's how that movie ends, right? Then, like a year or two later, comes Friday the 13th. The very end of that movie. Sorry, I'm spoiling the end of these movies. It's not.
Lake.
She's on the lake. The woman has her head chopped off. She's not around. Who's gonna hurt this woman now? The killer's dead, right? So it's like same kind of music, same kind of din din din, like very soft ASMR, kind of make you want the audience to relax, kind of shit.
Uh-huh.
Slow push in on her, playing
And
with the
then
water. What? Boom! Jason pops up and drags her on
I
her, gives
hate
you a
that.
fright. The first time I
Yeah.
saw any of those things, I got a big fright.
Yeah.
Move on a couple of years later, 1984, you got Nightmare on Elm Street. How does that movie end? Bye, Mom, we're going to school. Oh, tranquil
And
music's
then
all softly shot, and Freddy grabs Mother through the fucking window, which is a
yeah.
really silly looking
Stupid.
effect, but it's a scare. It's a jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yeah.
where all this comes from, where it's like soft and like so. The whole thing of her going to Italy, seeing this random cute dude, then cut to her getting married to the dude. It tricks the audience into think, oh my god, this is such a happy ending, which those old movies did too. So it was kind of tribute to those kind of things, like Brian De Palma and Jim, all those
Yeah.
fuckers, Wes Craven. Uh, and then in the hospital, Lydia's watching her give birth, and then out comes the fucking demon Beetlejuice baby. That would have been perfect. I think it kills the doctors or something, doesn't it? I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't remember. But
No, it
anyway,
does. It kills the doctors.
it would have been perfect to end the movie where the baby's on the opposite side of the glass and Lydia's fucking horrified, and the baby's like la la la, cut the black, dun 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 dun, or the
Over.
Donna. They play the Donna Summer fucking MacArthur Park
Yeah.
song at the end,
Oh.
but instead they do this thing that kind of fucks it up, where it's like cut to Lydia's. We know we're audience is smart enough to know this is a fucking dream sequence. We don't have to take this as the literal end of the movie. And if some people do and want to debate about it, fine. But it's shot in that Brian De Palma, that same way that if you know anything about horror, even if they don't reveal at the end that it's a dream sequence, by the way, they don't do that in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. In Carrie, they did it. They reveal that the girl wakes up and she's all fucking fucked up. They do that in Friday the 13th. The girl wakes up. But they just end it like that. You don't think Nancy's mother really got pulled through that door. This is just one on a Nancy's dream because she's in the fucking third one. So obviously everything's all right. even though her mother's not around. What happened there? But yeah,
Yeah.
the ending is weird. I think it's gonna rub some people the wrong. It's a divisive kind of movie where some people are like, it didn't live up. If this was a straight to streaming, like I like this as much as I did Axel F, or what was the other Legacy sequel that came out recently that I thought
Uh
was all right. Even
Borderlands? No.
Ghostbusters, no Ghostbusters, no Ghostbusters Afterlife, where a lot of people
Yeah.
didn't like that. I was like, I thought it was all right. I thought this was
Yeah.
all right. I thought Axel F was all right. They're good enough,
Yeah.
but they're not like better than the fucking
Yeah.
previous
I
ones.
mean, listen, I
Except
do want to,
some.
yeah, I do want to address something that you said earlier about possibly maybe Astrid is this generation's Lydia Dietz. I don't believe that at all. I believe that that Jenna Ortega, she was fine. First of all, guys, I love Jenna Ortega, okay? I need to say that. But I believe that Jenna
She's great, by
Ortega,
the way. She's got a great personality in real life. I like her a lot.
yeah, I believe that Jenna Ortega's character in this movie wasn't given a lot, and what she was given was just a pouty teenager. Oh, I'm mad at my mom. Oh, I'm mad at my mom because she can't see my dead dad. Oh, and by the way, I don't believe in that shit. So I don't believe in that shit, but I still expect my mom, who's a psychic, apparently, to see my dad. So it's very, very kind of self-serving. How do you expect your mom to see her dead husband if you don't truly believe in it? But I do like the fact that the writers in this movie made it so Astrid finds out about the afterlife herself. I did enjoy that part of it. And look, this movie has a lot of issues in it. Okay. A lot of issues. But I really, really enjoyed this movie. I mean, listen, I would be up for a Beetlejuice 3. I don't think they're going to do one, but
Uh,
I would totally be up for one.
I can predict right now that in the next year they'll be like, yeah, we're shooting this. Michael Keaton's gonna be like, yeah, we're shooting this thing. Shooting this thing next July. Showtime.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to do a
Showtime.
shitty Michael Keaton impression. By the way, he wants to be called Michael Douglas now. His real name.
Yeah, I
Sometime
heard
he'll
that.
introduce
Yeah.
himself now. He'll be like, I'm Michael. Uh, he'll say
Douglas Keaton.
Michael Douglas Keaton. Um, it's fascinating that man's career that last year he brought back Batman, and now he's brought back Beetlejuice, the two things in the 80s that made him a superstar. I mean, Beetlejuice was before Batman, like literally a year before, 88, Beetlejuice. Not a huge hit, by the way, not a huge hit critically either. People
Mhm.
don't realize that movie did well, but it wasn't revered. It actually became a cult classic and a big VHS thing. It is actually the
Right.
first Beetlejuice movie was the first thing I ever watched on VHS with a large group of people, like family and extended family. And I was just so weirded out by the movie and like how quirky and fucked up it was. I didn't understand any of it the first time I watched it. And I remember my family getting irritated with me because I kept asking, what's the name of this movie again? Beetlejuice! They all said in unison one time, Beetlejuice! I was trying to get them to say it's 3 times, see, so they would conjure Beetlejuice. But that movie is cult class. You can't
Ow.
you can't hold it. It doesn't. And that movie has its weird kind of quirks, but that had a kind of like and
No,
this is just, it seems like a streaming sequel, legacy sequel that they put some money into. They kept
no.
it faithful with using minimal CG, a lot of practical and
Right.
stop motion effects. Appreciate the
Right.
Tim Burtonness of it, but it is not like peak Tim Burton.
Yeah, I differ. I'm on the other side um of the conversation. I I really, really am happy that I saw this on a big screen, and I don't think that it was a movie that it had, stream on Netflix. I believe that everybody in this movie had passion and love for the Beetlejuice IP, but but all the points that you are making, I completely see what you're making, and it totally makes sense. But
I
I,
like it like a good streaming movie. I'm glad it was
oh,
in
okay,
theaters because
okay.
that's a smart thing.
Oh,
They should have put Axel F in theaters, see how that did.
yeah,
But
okay, yeah,
that Netflix is problem.
right.
But
No, but I,
this one I'm glad they did release it in theaters because we spoke earlier in the year about this, talking about movies coming out. This was like months ago, Marcelo. I don't know if you
right,
remember.
what?
We were like, "What $1 billion?" I think I said Despicable Me 4 is gonna have $1 billion, and
Oh,
I didn't.
oh yeah, I do.
And
I,
you
I
said
do remember that
Inside
conversation.
Out, and I was like, I don't know about Pixar. I think I was like, no, I don't think so about Inside Out. And it turned out that's like one of the biggest movies of all time. But I don't think we were sure about. I was like, what about Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice, that's got to make $1 billion. I was like, well, the first one wasn't that big, and how many butts are going to get in the seats because of its legacy over the past 36 years, and how many generations have grew up watching it. So like me in the 80s, first seeing it in like 89 on video or whatever, to all the generations that watched it thereafter, that's building a huge audience off of one movie. And the cartoon was popular as well. I loved the cartoon. I'm surprised it's not anywhere. You can't fucking find it anywhere. It's weird. Especially now. Beetlejuice the movie's been all over TV and on free things and everywhere. You could have saw that movie anywhere this past couple of weeks, but the cartoon cannot be found. At least in Canada
Yeah,
where I am. I'll probably get it on
yeah.
fucking iTunes or
Uh,
something.
oh no, no. The cartoon is available on iTunes. On iTunes. When I bought, I'm ashamed to say this because Beetlejuice is one of my favorite movies of all time. I just bought Beetlejuice digitally a couple weeks ago, and in the special features, I got 4 episodes of the cartoon series. Uh,
Ah, they
which
should have
is
included all of it.
Yeah. Well, it has the cartoon series. I looked it up after I saw those 4, small episodes that they gave me. The cartoon series had 4 seasons. So, I think that's a lot to fit into the special feature section of it. But I do want to give my rating on Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. What would you rate it? Because I don't think you gave me one.
I would rate it a 6.5 out of 10, which is not bad.
Okay.
7, not quite a 7. I put it in the same kind of likability category as Axel F and whatever other movie I mentioned earlier. Oh yeah, the fucking Ghostbusters thing. Uh, this is one of those movies I get where people are like, this is not good enough, and I get where people are like, I had fun, I fucking loved it. I totally see both sides very clearly.
Right.
I'm really in the middle where once it gets to the Beetlejuice stuff, I'm having fun, but I'm kind of waiting for it. As opposed to the other movie where I liked all the fucking quirky, quiet moments with the family and stuff, and the Matlins and Maitlands, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis.
Right.
So there were just 2 or 3 characters in this movie that kind of were misplaced. Like you could add something better in here to make this a more solid movie and more enjoyable. I think this the first one was it struck lightning, and I understand critics at the time were like, "What is this?" It's a movie about Beetlejuice, apparently starring Michael Keaton. He's in the movie for all of 5 fucking minutes, but the whole thing about that movie is the build up to having to use him finally, because once they do that's what I love about it. Once they do the Maitlands do the Deo trick on them, it does has the exact opposite effect of what they want. So now they want to meet the ghosts and have like parties and like exploit them, and they're not scared at all. So the Maitlands are like, "Oh, we got to use Beetlejuice now." Well, who summons it? I think it's Lydia that summons him finally.
It's actually Lydia that does
Oh
it
yes, it's Lydia. It's
because
Lydia because
because
they're performing
because
the ritual
yeah,
on the Maitlands. Yes, yes, yes. The Matlin.
right,
I
right,
I
right.
can't
Yeah.
believe I didn't really know their last names. I just thought of them as
The
Gina Davis and Alec
Yeah,
Baldwin.
the Maitlands, yeah.
Yeah, the Maitlands.
No, but for me, this episode, sorry, this movie does have issues, and as a writer, it does annoy me, but it doesn't it doesn't make the whole film fall apart. So my rating out of 10 would be an 8. I like this movie just one more step more than you.
Yeah, it's hard to li- so many expectations in everybody's mind after so many decades where you have these legacy sequels, and you imagine so many different ways they could do it, and they tried like ideas like Beetlejuice Hawaii goes Hawaii and Beetlejuice goes
Yeah.
west.
No, but
Beetlejuice, probably Beetlejuice in space, for fuck's sake, who knows?
didn't Tim Burton do Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian just to piss off the studio?
I don't know. I don't know.
Didn't he? Yeah, yeah. Didn't he write that? I, I, I think he actually wrote a script called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian just to fucking get them to shut up about Beetlejuice.
There was
He
development on
intends.
it,
Yeah,
sure.
probably. Yeah, yeah.
And then I think Tim Burton moved on to fucking Superman, and then that didn't work out. By the
Yeah,
way,
that
it's
didn't
Star
work
Trek
out.
Day 2024. That's the year, that's the day, September 8th. 58 years ago, it aired on United States television sets, when really the premiere was 2 days earlier, I believe, in Canada.
God
I don't know
damn you,
how. On the
Canadians!
6th,
You
was it
got
the
it
6th?
early.
Was it September 6th, 1964?
6, 4,
No, 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 1966. Sorry.
66. Yeah, I think.
By the
Yeah.
way, this is the year. This is the 60th anniversary coming up in November, in the fall, of when they started shooting The Cage.
Wow. Holy shit.
So they actually started shooting The Cage in
Woo.
1954.
Damn.
Uh,
You feel old yet?
well, I remember those days. I, I
Yeah.
remember. I remember like it was yesterday. Smoking my corn cob pipe and sitting on sitting watching my farm, watching my cows, and smelling the
you,
farts.
you sound like Lincoln.
4 scored 7 years ago.
Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah, no, but for Star Trek Day, what have I done? Um, Nothing. But I'm happy that it's Star Trek Day. I'm really upset that they didn't like do like a presentation like they have in days in years past. I really thought that today would have been a perfect opportunity to start building the hype machine for Starfleet Academy to show us something from Lower Decks. Although I do know that a scene was released today, but fuck that. Give us so give us something. But the fact that they gave us little to nothing really is upsetting. I don't know how you feel about it, PJ.
Well, they did release a clip of Lower Decks season 5. I'm assuming the premiere episode. I didn't really look at it. I don't care. It's not that I don't care about Lower Decks. I am getting to the point in my Star Trek fandom where the same thing with Star Wars and properties in general, Marvel, you name it, just an overall waning interest, I would say. I'm trying to be nice there. I'm not saying everything's shit now. I'm just saying I'm not as interested as I used to be. So what I do now, and I kind of did it with first season of Prodigy, even though that turned out to be really good, waiting weeks to kind of watch a few episodes, like I did that with Discovery season 5. I will not run to get Paramount Plus until Lower Decks season 5 is done, and I can watch the whole season at my convenience. I don't want to watch it week to week. I don't want to listen to analyses or analyses, whatever that, I don't know. But I don't. I'm getting to the point now where if I don't have a big interest in it, I still want to watch it. I don't want to watch it and criticize it every week, type of thing. I don't want to watch it and get my back up like, well, this episode's good. Oh, this episode's great. Well, this episode's bad. If you absorb it all in a season, I find it's much better for me. I might do that. I might try to do that with Strange New Worlds and future shows. Not with Starfleet Academy. Brand new shows, live action, I'm going to watch that week to week. However, here's the thing. I've been recently watching Prodigy on the CTV app with the ads and the sound delays and the glitches and whatnot. Fine. I can still watch it. Fine. Watched the first season. Didn't binge it in days. Kind of took like a couple of weeks to watch it. The 20 episodes. Thoroughly enjoyed it more than I did the first time. And I'm noticing on Star Trek Day, the little video that they put out, guess what? They don't have in there because they can't do it because they don't fucking own it anymore. Netflix got it. Prodigy's not there. Prodigy's the best show in my opinion. Like just from a storytelling perspective, and the fact that animation allows them to be very dynamic in their storytelling and their visuals. Like the first season, no spoilers for people who haven't seen it, ends with a good lot of stuff going on, and it's very good for animated, family-friendly animated TV. I can see a movie version of Prodigy where like they ramp up the animation to like movie level. It looks fucking awesome. But I digress.
Yeah,
I
listen.
was compelled to buy the
Oh,
second season, so I'm watching that now. Go ahead.
listen. I am very, very much. I'm very, very much with you with my fandom for Star Trek and where it is now. I am so tired of talking about certain Star Trek shows. I make talking about Star Trek on the internet makes me exhausted. Uh, so much to the point that I will only be talking about Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, but everything else out there, I'm not going to talk about it. I don't, I barely watch, discussion videos on Star Trek anymore because I'm so sick of it. So I mean, I mean, it might surprise you that I'm in the same boat that you are in, but I'm there with you, man. You know, we could row together if you want.
Well, what do we got this year left in Star Trek is Lower Decks. That's the last season.
Yeah.
Discovery's gone. Lower Decks is gone. They got rid of Prodigy. But anyway, I mean, I don't know if that has the strength on Apple iTunes in Canada where everybody has to get it, or on Netflix everywhere else, uh, to warrant a third season with Netflix. Netflix probably likes to do like 3 seasons and done, so maybe they will give it a third and final season. But you know what could be good? You want to continue? I don't know. By the way, no spoilers for Prodigy season 2. I'm 4 episodes in, so I don't know what happens at the end. But why not lead off into the next chapter with Netflix original films? Say, hey, over there on Paramount Plus, take your Section 31 live action huge budget movie, and let's take our slightly less expensive animated movie that's more visually appealing in terms of action and what we can actually do, and make a fucking big budget looking kind of action romp. I think I could like Prodigy as a movie franchise on streaming. I've always said that about Prodigy for years. Like, let's do. Nickelodeon tends to do movie versions of their TV shows, and if they're enough of a hit, Hey Arnold, Rugrats, you name it, SpongeBob, and all this shit. SpongeBob is going on
Yeah.
its like fifth movie now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a fan of Prodigy. I liked elements in Prodigy. I really, really like season two because of the member berries and because the fucking doctor came back again. By the way, it's such a trip to me that I'm going to get to see the doctor again in Starfleet Academy. That's so cool to me. But just to follow your train of thought here, I do think that for those people that love Prodigy, it would be a great idea to have Prodigy films made on Netflix. If if Netflix found Prodigy that viable, that would be a great thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Or they could just very well say, "Hey, there's a one more 20 episode season to close it out." Uh, Knowing Netflix, it probably wouldn't go beyond 3 seasons, unless it becomes wildly popular. I mean, Arcane is probably the most popular animated thing on there, and that is the most well animated television series to ever exist. I've never seen anything as good looking as that show Arcane. I don't know if you've seen it. I've only seen a
No,
few
I am
episodes of
not.
season 1. Next time I get Netflix, I'm watching it when season 2 comes out. I'm going to watch season 1 and season 2. Uh, my God, the animation in that show, and apparently it's a very well made show in terms of story and character and stuff. So, like, this is the kind of stuff that Prodigy has to compete with if they're on that platform. And same thing with Blue Eye Samurai, which is a very very well animated show that I didn't watch, but I saw parts of, and I was like, wow, this is video games could look like this. Watch out. But the thing with Prodigy is, as well animated as it is, it does at times look like a like PS5 cutscenes. Some of the talking and some of the human, like the doctor, doesn't look all that good in season two. I've noticed. I'm like, why is he the one human character that looks like 90s TV animation? Like, it's weird. It's his eyes aren't right or something. I don't know what it is. It's just the doctor. I'm fixated on this. But I didn't know I had the camera off. Sorry. I forgot. We're gonna leave it there, Marcelo, because we're going up in an hour. But I just want to thank you again for indulging me and talking about Beetlejuice. I love talking about these movies that come out. I don't know what is the next movie you're excited to see?
Gladiator.
Gladiator 2.
Yeah,
I think people
and
are wildly underestimating that. I can see it either being a hit or just falling, being another
yeah,
Robin Hood.
and for you DC fans out there, there's a Christopher Reeve documentary coming out on the 21st that made me bawl my eyes out, folks. And this was just in the trailer.
The trailer, yeah. You
Yeah.
know what's funny? Before Beetlejuice, that trailer played, and people were like, blah, 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 blah. Then it got to a point in the trailer when they show the accident and the sad music, and everybody shut the fuck up, and like was
Oh wow.
silent for the second half of that trailer. I
Oh
was
my
like, "You're
god.
damn right. Have some
Yeah.
respect for Christopher Reeve. Like what he did, and the parts in the trailer were like, it's because of him that people are walking." I'm like, oh fuck. I can't watch this in a theater.
You're gonna call your eyes out.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good plug. By the way, before you go, you want to plug your channel there?
Yeah. If you want to hear my musings, the best place to find me on YouTube is at Balloon Head Productions. But if you want to, join the bigger world of Balloon Head, you can follow me on X or Twitter, whatever you call it. I'm at Creek Fanatic 88, but also on my Twitter/X profile. There's a link to my link tree, and that'll open up my entire world for you if you want to see everything I do online.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, and until next time, folks, live long and prosper.